Hey class users, welcome to another training video on the printout templates. So if you remember, that's why at the bottom left, tools, then printout templates. Someone mentioned recently that it would be good to have the conflict check details of a service included in the default printout, so that's kind of possible now. If you come into the same menu here and go default like this, this is the testing site, so we're going to have more templates than you should, probably. But there will be a service printout default with conflict check. And what you'll need to do is just tick that on your center, hit copy, and then with that copied one, you might want to rename it something else. Maybe just include your center if you can't think of anything. And then just hit the default there. And the reason why I'm telling you to sort of implement it in that way is because we couldn't just make this default for everyone, because some centers have sort of created their own templates, quite a few of them actually. So, but that's sort of how you would enable that. So the next time you go to print, if I do a quick demo, so when next you go to print a service, and we say that what's this person's name? Bob123. Okay. So if we went for a new one, okay, so there are some clients with that name, but let's just say for testing purposes, we'll just say no conflict in the conflict results. And that's basically what setting that as default will let you print out. So when you go to print via the top right, and for example, it'll be on the service printout default. So let's have a look at that. You'd print out all the client's details, including the actions and critical dates and whatnot. But with this template that you copied and renamed potentially, you will instead get the conflict check results. Let's say there were 3 of them, you'd get the 3 results there, and you can print that for review. So you might find that useful. So that's how to quickly get that going. Now this second half of the video is more for centers who already have their printout template and go, great, we've got our template, we don't really want to go back to using that one, but we do want the conflict check details still. So per the other bits of documentation we have on our website, we normally start with the service printout default and hit copy. And rename, but I'm gonna name it something arbitrary because I am demoing adding the actual conflict checking into that. So here we are, clicking on the protractor and the pencil on a default service template. Pretend this is your template now. Just wait for that to load. So you may have customized all your fields and such. But how to add the actual conflict checking is you actually go into the report explorer on the far right here to get the hierarchy. Just expand the overall report and hit the pencil. And up here you'll find a button called Insert Report Header Band. And once you've pressed that, if you jump back into the hierarchy, sorry, not report header band, excuse me. What we're after is insert detail report band. So that's sort of in the same vein as critical dates, actions, additional parties, etc. You can see by pressing that, we've actually gone down here and added another blank sort of detailed report area. And what those are is sort of grabbing, I guess, a child data item of the record. So you can imagine a service has many actions or many critical dates, and at the same time many conflict check results. So what this section of the report will do is actually capture all of that. But we do have to set it up. So let's go and do that now. So here we are. And again, the default template isn't sort of named, but the conflict check one I showed you earlier, we actually sort of renamed that one quite a bit, so you might find that better to work with. Apologies in advance for people with their own templates, but hopefully you've done some renaming for your own sort of sanity while you're working with these. So that wasn't a good rename. We'll go detail report with an underscore, and we'll say conflict check, excuse me, and then we'll hit the pencil, and we're going to add the group header, so we're going to sort of mirror the existing ones. So let's look for a insert group header band button. There we are, so it's looking similar. And now the easiest way I've found to sort of do this is, let's say you jump into the actions, so we know that's detailed report 1, and expand the group header. If we go ahead and just left click on the table here and press the copy up here, the 2 pages, and then we know we're under group header 2, so we'll look for the header of the conflict check area, left click on it, and now we'll left click on the paste, and then that'll just drop all the headings and such there nicely and sort of ready to use. And we'll do the same thing by expanding this, so that's the second half where the fields are sitting in the actions, table 12, and we'll hit copy, the 2-page icon, and down to detail 4, we'll left click on that, and then we will press paste. So that's good. And now I suppose we'll grab the heading so we don't have to do all that formatting. So that's label 10 up here, copy, and then down into the group header once again, then hit paste. And if it moves it somewhere funny, just left click, hold and drag, and let go. Whoops. And then just left click on it, you'll get the white bounding box. Head over to the properties, the gear icon on the top right, and then scroll down to the design area. The text at the very top, and let's just call it conflict check. Cool. And just for reference, let's open a service, such as the one we had before. And let's press on view conflicts. And I'm just going to take a screenshot. I'm using a program called Greenshot, so I'm going to drag that off onto my other screen, which you won't be able to see, but I'll basically be using it as a reference. So, when we set up the actual template, what do we want to print out? Maybe the notes, maybe who did the check, when they did it, when it was last done, and the details and the notes. We'll include that all on the template. So I'm just going to move that over to my other screen. You don't need to see that. It's just I'm going to be using that as a reference for my poor short-term memory. So I'll left click on this type label here, and I'll say result type, and then hit enter. And I did forget an important step, which if we click on the report hierarchy here, go over to the detail report conflict check, hit edit. There is a data source. Let's left click it, choose the default one, and the member is going to be the conflict check CLSGetConflict, so the conflict check. And I'll hit save at this point. And the setup of this detail report will sort of be mirroring what's happening up here. So you'll see this one's pointing to critical dates, and this one's pointing to actions. So whatever sort of data you want to display in the detail report sort of band is what you want it to be looking at. I guess that's sort of straightforward. But now let's get our first sort of field actually getting the correct conflict check sort of information. So the result type in this case, let's hit the X here, and I'll just say result type here, and this will be what the data what will be pulled out of the database, so the actual conflict check result, but just renaming that, I guess it helps me find my way. So result types there, and that's it. We've sort of done that. Then what might be good next is the created by, and then we'll left click down here and change these again, and we'll just repeat the process until we have all the conflict check fields. So let's hover over there. Yeah, conflict, and I said this one was going to be created by. Okay, so that's done. Now this is going to differ a bit. Again, pick whatever order of fields makes sense to you, or pick whatever fields make sense to you. But let's say we need to display the date and time. It is a bit different in terms of one thing you have to do. So let's say this was the created date and time. Excuse me. You'll notice the format of the string, or how the information will appear in the template, is like that. I've just hit Control A on my keyboard to select everything, or you can just left click, hold and drag your mouse across everything. But you might miss something that way, so Control A or Command A on Mac is probably better. And then hit Control C on your keyboard, or Command C to copy it. And then let's pretend this is only relevant to a date and time field, but let's say for whatever reason you had your created date time at the end here. What you'll want to do is paste how that string was formatted and then go get the actual field, if that makes sense. So just bear in mind, any date and time fields, you want that sort of text formatting, or it may come out strange inside the template itself. So let's expand this, get the created date and time. And okay, fairly straightforward. We'll just slowly replace all those fields, etc. What might be a bit different is, let's say you wanted the notes on their own line. How you do that is you'd open the Report Explorer here, hit Edit on the table row, and we would insert a row below, and we'll left click on the cells I hit delete row. We want to insert row below, left click on the cell and pick delete cell instead, or just left click on a cell and press the delete key on the keyboard. Might be a bit safer to do that. And again, remember there's undo and redo here. So undo, undo, redo, redo. And let's say this field will be the actual conflict check notes themselves, and then we'll grab that from the table notes, and then here we'll just say check notes. Or if you had any custom fields, maybe you want them on another row. Again, up to you how you go with that. But this is just a suggestion. And just for your quick reference, if you wanted the text to be bold, you just need to open it, jump into the appearance, font, bold. Okay. We can collapse it a bit so it's sort of similar to the ones above. Okay, that's as far as it wants to go for whatever reason. But those formatting and little details normally takes a while. I'll be honest though, I don't really know how to get rid of this gap. That might take some looking into, or it might be fine when you print it, so don't worry too much about that. But again, all we had left was putting the rest of the fields, which is just a repetitive process. Just repeat as you've done before. And maybe I'll walk you through what's in the actual default template itself, which is just more completed than what we were already doing. And if you remember from earlier, I said maybe put your center name, and I wrote something, but now I have indeed temporarily lost it. So let's have a look. Must be this one. So if I hit edit, yeah, so this is just the filled out one where we're going result type created by, conflict detail, search criteria, the created date and time, updated date, etc. So have a go at that, and that's how you include the conflict check in the default templates. A good point of reference is to copy the default template and have a closer look essentially.